Hey, hi. This is Dr. Roy Shendon from Tier One Coaching and Training, coming to you live today. It's a Sunday afternoon. I wanted just to touch base with you and just let you know that I appreciate you for tuning in. I appreciate so much the kind words you have said. Many of you have written saying that you really enjoyed the Interview Made Easy series that we've been doing, and we'll continue to do that. But today I wanted to kind of take a break. I wanted to talk about something a little bit different. Just temporary. I want to talk about why we do what we do. Specifically, why do we at Tier One do the things we do here? Why do we offer coaching? Why do we offer the Interviews Made Easy series and other series similar to that? Why do we constantly put, hopefully, some quality content out there? Many of you have commented that you really appreciated the things that we're doing, and that the content that we're putting on the air is of high quality and something that you can use readily in your work day, every day, or as you're dealing with your kids, you're dealing with your relatives, as they're looking to make a change in the world of work. So today I just thought we'd just talk a little bit differently. We'll talk about why we do what we do. Did you know that I have been doing this? Now, I've been working in the human resource world now for the past 15 years. And in that time, and even prior to that time, when I was working as a family therapist, and when I was working in the employee assistance world, during all my time working with people, I have never met anybody who woke up in the morning and said, you know what I want to do? I want to do a really bad job. I want to be really poor at what I do. I want to be somebody that I go in, I do the very, very minimum, in fact, less than minimum in my work, and maybe I'll get paid and get by through another day. I've never met anybody who said that. I've never met anybody who actually thought that. Instead, what I've met is a wonderful world of people who get up in the morning, they shake off the dust off their business, they try to figure out what can I do today to make things better? How can I be successful at what I'm doing? Whatever that job may be, no matter how high in the rank in the organizational structure it might be or how low they think it might be in the organizational structure, they want to go out there and do the very best they can. Why? Because they have a sense of personal pride. Because of personal pride in where they work and personal pride in who they are and what they stand for. For me, just to let you know, I started working when I was 8 years old. 8. You might say, well, that's a violation of the Fair Labor Standards Act. And you're exactly right, it is. But except that I was working for an aunt and uncle who happened to clean the local bank. So my first job was taking out the trash, vacuuming floors, dusting countertops, cleaning tables, things like that in the world of this bank, in a bank in Northwest Indiana. That's where I'm from, and that's what I did. And for really from age 8 until I was 14, that's what I did every single night. And during that time, I worked basically for $1 a night. I think I got a raise at some point. It became $1.50. Big wages. But in the 1970s, that actually wasn't such a bad deal. I had money in my pocket. I could do what I needed to do. And believe it or not, it actually worked. Now, would I ever think that would ever happen today? Probably not. If I were doing that today, I'd probably demand a higher wage. But the point is, I learned a lot about working at the time. I learned a lot about what it meant to work hard. I learned a lot from my aunt and uncle, who I actually worked for, who taught me things, valuable lessons like the importance of actually doing a good job because it's who you are. Not because it's a job that needs to be done because you have a boss who demands it, but because this represents you, and that everything you do actually says a little bit about you. In fact, did you know that you're going to spend, on average, you and I are going to spend, on average, 1/3 of our adult lifetime working. 1/3 of your adult lifetime working. That's from like age 20 until age 65. 1/3 of those years is going to be in the world of work. At work. Not at home, not sleeping, not going on vacation, not hanging out with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, or your kids, but working, doing something for money. You're going to spend 1/3 of your time doing that. And that's important for you to keep that in mind. Because if you're going to spend that much time doing that stuff, then guess what? It is incumbent upon you and me as individuals to make sure that it is of the highest quality it can possibly be, and that it is something that is fulfilling to us at a very deep personal level. And at Tier 1 Coaching, that's what we're all about. We want to make sure that you have all the tools you need necessary in your life to be successful, to feel successful, to feel like you have a sense of pride in what it is you do every day, no matter what that job might be. because that is really, really important. All of us need a reason to get out of bed in the morning. All of us need a reason to go back to work every day, because there are challenges there. All of us have coworkers that can be difficult at times throughout your work history. You're going to have employers who can be difficult to work for at times. You're going to have bosses, managers, executives who can be very demanding, perhaps unfairly so in some cases. And we all have to deal with that. And we all have to find ways to be dealing with that in a way that maintains our integrity and maintains our sense of pride. And that's what we're about, what we can do. It's interesting. In 2016, Indeed, the job site, the job website that's probably the largest one in the world today, did a survey, and they found that in that survey that 50% of employed workers were actually looking for a new job. 50%, 1 in 2. So there are 10 of you in your department, 5 of you, according to this survey, if it applied to you specifically, 5 of you would be looking for work. Today, actually October 2017. Hello, we're in 2018 now. October 2017. The Washington Post did a similar survey, and they found that as of October of 2017, 71% of employees are actively looking for work. 71%. That's nearly 3 out of 4 that are going on. So you have 10 people in your workplace that were to apply to your specific workplace, 7 would be looking for work. Now that's actively looking and in some cases passively looking. So you say, what's the difference? Well, passively looking would be like if you sent out your resume, if you just threw an application out there for a job, if you just happen to post on LinkedIn that, hey, maybe I'm looking for something, or something like that. Things like that is what is real passive. It means you're not actually picking up the phone. You may not be doing interviewing at the moment, but you are spending time and a little bit of energy, at least on a passive level, looking for work. Active is when you're actually applying for work. You're actually going through the interviews. You're actually doing what you can to work your contacts to try to find new opportunities. All of that is great. All of that is wonderful. But it's interesting to me that we go from, in the span of 2 years, actually a year and a half, we went from 50% of the workforce looking for, according to one survey, to 71 according to another. Now, these are surveys that are done. Are they completely scientific and absolutely accurate? I don't know. And that's really not the point. The point is a vast majority of us are constantly looking around and just seeing what's out there. Is there anything that might be of interest to me? And we find this out that, when I was doing my dissertation, one of the things I looked at was generational differences in work. And how is it that do one generation look at things a little bit differently than another? One of the things that was really important to, as I was reading the research in generational differences among workers, is I found out that on average, the expectation is that you and I will change career paths 8 times during our age 20 to age 65. 8 separate careers. I didn't say 8 jobs. Because if you break it down to the actual number of jobs, that number skyrockets to about 15 changes that are going to happen throughout your career. Now, some of those are going to be promotions. Some of those are going to be transfers to jobs that are within the workplace in a different location, different focus. But overall, 8 separate careers. And so I started thinking about myself, okay, so what did I do? Well, let's see. That number seems like a crazy number until I started looking at my own life. And here's what I found. When I first came out of college, I intended to be a teacher. And I was in education. I was an education major. I did a lot of things, did all my student teaching, and did all this. It was wonderful. I loved it. It was absolutely spectacular. I enjoyed my time as a teacher. I actually worked in some schools, related to some schools. But right out of college, when I went for my first full-time job, I actually joined a ministry. Worked for a ministry called Athletes in Action at a couple of universities, and working with athletes and just kind of helping them get a feel for what their future is and what they can do and what they want to do. It was an excellent opportunity. Enjoyed that. For 4 years, I worked that way. Then I got married. And at that time, we decided, maybe it's a good time to go to grad school. And so I went to grad school to become a marriage and family therapist. And I did that for 12 years after I graduated. And during that time, I worked for a number of places. I worked for a community college for a while. special needs counselor, making sure that everybody who had any kind of a special need, any kind of a disability, was taken care of, and they had everything they need to be successful in the college work environment. That was fun. Did that for a while, and then guess what? I did that, and then next thing I knew, I worked for a local med-surg hospital, and at that point, started out as a therapist. Ended up at 6 years later, I was actually running the department, an outpatient psychiatric department, where I saw all kinds of people, helping all kinds of people in all kinds of different situations. Worked with individuals, marriages, families, you name it, we were there. Crisis interventions, all kinds of stuff. Then I was challenged by my boss to develop an employee assistance program, which we did. We put that out there, we marketed it, ended up working for a number of companies in the area, helping them deal with their employees and helping their employees to be successful at what they did, and helping everybody to feel a sense of pride in who they were and where they were coming from and where they were going. All of these things were really cool working with, in the EAP world. Enjoyed that a lot. Next thing I know, the opportunity came with HR. And here I am, 15 years later. And then from there, it's grown into professional coaching and what we've now set out to be is in terms of tier 1 coaching and training. And trying to get this thing rolling. What's wonderful is that I count back, that's like 7 different changes that I've had, and I thought I didn't have that many. Kind of shocking. But that's how it is. That's how it goes for all of us. Now imagine, that's me. I happen to be a member of Generation X. Generation Y, the group that's just now coming into the workforce, has only been there the last couple of years. That group has a much higher expectation of changing jobs. In fact, their idea of longevity is seeing how long they can be in one career path, not one employer. The Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics says that on average, we're going to change our jobs every 4.6 years. Every 4.6. Now, is that true for everybody? No, because you and I both know people who have been in their same job basically for the past 40 years. Or at least the same company. Maybe it's not the same exact job, but they've been in the same company for 40 years. And those folks are to be revered and to be honored, and that's awesome. It really is. But I'm here to tell you as an HR professional to let you know that is a dying breed. There aren't that many who do that anymore. In fact, it's rare to have somebody who's even there, even as long as I've been in terms of 15 years. On average, every 4.6 years. Now, why do we do it? There's a lot of reasons why we do it. Sometimes we do it because we think we can get more money with another company. Sometimes we do it because we want to relocate to a new area, and that necessitates leaving one job and going to another. Sometimes we do it because we want to advance our careers. And depending on your organization, it may be difficult to advance your career internally. Sometimes you have to go somewhere else to get a different experience and then bring it back in order to advance your career. Or perhaps you go someplace because today I'm second tier in what I'm doing, but I get to be the first tier at this other company, all of which is great. Sometimes we change jobs because we want to advance our skills. In fact, the number one predictor, the number one reason why people in Generation Y, that is the millennials, the newest group that's joining the workforce, the number one reason they're going to leave their job isn't because they have a horrible boss, although that might be the case. It isn't because they have few career opportunities. It's because they want to advance their skills. And by going to another company, perhaps even another industry, they can learn the business from a different perspective. They can then advance their skills and broaden what they have to offer. This is a generation that is all about, at a very deep level, developing themselves, being in a position where people that feel like their employers are wanting to develop them, and it's things like that's really, really important. So the modern employer has got to figure that out. He's got to figure out, what can I do to set the situation where my employees are being developed? In fact, I will tell you right now, if you are a leader in your organization and you do not have a plan to develop those who are under you, you are not leading anybody, because leadership is very much about casting that vision out in the future. It's all about empowering people to act on that vision, and it's all about making sure that you're helping to encourage them and to provide the situation as best as possible that's going to be motivating for them. And then sometimes we do leave because we have a bad boss, because we just don't like the guy, the woman, the lady, whoever it is. We have an issue where, perhaps we just don't get along. Maybe there's a personality conflict. Maybe there's an on-job stressor where they're asking you to do something that you just don't believe is proper, or maybe in some cases even illegal. Or some things happen that are so difficult to handle that you struggle with working there every day. I understand that. That happens. That's normal. Welcome to the human race. But here's the deal. This is where Tier 1 comes in. This is what we're here to do for you. What we're here to offer really is this organization was set up for your success. It's all about helping you to understand what's going on and where you want to go, and helping you get there, figure out a way, a strategy to get there. Using some proprietary assessment instruments, we can help you understand, get a better handle on who you are at a very deep level, what values you hold at a personal level, and more importantly, how do those personal values, how can they be molded and be accented and enhanced by the work you do every day? Because there's nothing worse than going to work every day and punching a clock, or figuratively at least, punching a clock, and then coming home at the end of the day and feel like, did I actually do anything today? Did I get anything accomplished? Or was this just another day that I kind of went through the motions, and right or wrong, I just didn't feel like I was very successful? That's frustrating. That is incredibly frustrating, and it's very, very demoralizing and very, very demotivating. So what we want to do is help you understand who you are at a very deep level, and understand how the work you do every day reflects and actually can match up with your values. Likewise, if there's a disconnect there, if you're doing a job that really doesn't match who you are, then you're probably going to be frustrated. And you're probably going to be like, okay, is this really all there is? And I'm here to tell you, no, there's not. There's a lot more. There's a world of work out there that you can go after, and we can help you have a strategy actually to get there. And that's really, as we go through that. So we want to look at our coaching. And as we coach, we work with individuals on a private level, sometimes in groups, but often at a very private level. And we help you deal with things like work-life balance. You know, every one of us, unless you are the ultimate hermit living on an island somewhere, most likely you have a family. You have a spouse, you have a child or children. You have friends. You have people who depend upon you for one reason or another, or perhaps extended family. You know, those of you in my generation, Generation X, we are often called the sandwich generation, because not only are we dealing with kids of various ages, but we're also often dealing with our parents and helping them to deal with the many stressors that they have, whether that's health concerns or financial concerns or social concerns, whatever it might be. So it can be very, very difficult. And as a coach, we can help you work through that, help you develop a plan, help you see a real sense of purpose behind all that, and help you see how who you are is the greatest strength that you need to get through all that kind of stuff. So really, work-life balance is awesome. That's one of the things we work on a lot with clients. We can help you look at opportunities. Perhaps you're one of those individuals that you're sitting there going, I am one of that 71% looking for work right now, and I'm trying to figure out where I need to go. I have a job, maybe it's even a good job, but you know what? It's just either I'm ready for a change or it's just not fulfilling anymore. Well, we can help you sort through that, find out what that's based on, and help you feel like you have a real plan here as you develop the goals that you want to achieve. And we can help you figure out what you need to do to get there from here to there. Because sometimes it can be so overwhelming, the thought of I need to change my job, but I really don't know how. And you can feel a lot of pressure. And there's no sense in that. It's understandable, but what can we do to relieve that pressure? And I'll tell you what, coaching is a great way to help with that. We can help you deal. Maybe you're saying, no, you know what? I love what I do. I just have an issue with my boss or somebody else at work. We can help you figure that out as well. Strategies to help. There's a real talent and a real art to managing up. What does that mean? Well, you know that if you work for a boss, if you work for a manager, if you work for an executive somewhere, they certainly have responsibility for you. They have responsibility for meeting the bottom line, turning profit. They have lots and lots of pressures on them all the time. And sometimes those pressures get shoved down to people at the front line, or at least lower in the organization. where suddenly other people are starting to feel stress. And it can be very, very difficult often to work with folks like that. So you have to learn how to finesse that, how to work with the individual, how to anticipate what they need. So let me give you an example. Several years ago, I had an opportunity to work in a particular organization. And during that time, I had my boss was wonderful. That was great. That really wasn't the issue. But there were other managers that I had to deal with on a day-to-day basis who were, in a word, terrible. In fact, all things considered, I probably would never have hired them had the choice ever been left up to me. It certainly wasn't, and I certainly wasn't my place to deal with any of that kind of situation. However, what I did have to learn how to do is I had to learn how to anticipate what their needs were. I had to somehow get past this whole idea of there's a conflict here, whether it's personality or job stress or whatever it was that was creating this uneasy feeling within me. I had to somehow move past that and figure out, okay, what is it that this person needs? And how can I somehow try to meet that need or help alleviate that need in some way? As I did that, guess what? I found that, number one, my point of view changed. They still weren't very good, I'll be honest with you. But the point of the matter is, my reaction to them was vastly improved. And that takes time, that takes practice, and that is something that is a matter of finesse that is difficult, but it's all about managing up. Sometimes you have a coworker who you have just a real struggle with for whatever reason. Maybe you feel like they're not pulling their weight. Maybe you feel like they're being unfair to you in some way. That happens. We're humans. I would love to tell you that there's a job out there where that won't happen, but I'm here to tell you no such place exists that I've ever heard of, this side of heaven anyway. So it becomes interesting and it becomes important that you learn how to deal with your coworkers in a very positive way. The easy thing to do is to somehow put your head down and try to work harder. And to some degree, that's useful. But I can tell you over the long haul, that's not going to make you successful. So in the world of coaching, we can help you sort through that. Find those little cracks in the veneer that become opportunities for you to be a positive source of change in the work environment. It's something that can improve your life and perhaps even theirs along the way. But more importantly, you have come out of this feeling with a greater sense of pride, a greater sense of purpose, and a greater sense of calmness. All of which is very, very important. So, what do you think? Are you ready to be coached? Are you ready to find your future? There's lots of good coaches out there, and I certainly understand that. Here at Tier 1, we're all about your success. That's simple. I want you to be successful. I want to be successful. But the bottom line is, I want to make sure that as we align our personal values in the world of work, we align it with organizational goals and objectives. When that happens, it's like magic. Because then it doesn't matter what I'm being asked to do on a day-to-day basis. Because I know what I'm doing serves a higher purpose. There was a story that's told. And the story goes like this. There was a janitor who worked in NASA during the time when we were sending people to the moon. And when we were struggling in the 1970s, when we were really, the Gemini and the Apollo missions and all those were going on. This is the pre-shuttle days, so this is going back a while. Anyway, there's a janitor working there, and this janitor was worked really, really hard and had been there for 20 or 30 years himself, mopping floors, taking out the trash, cleaning things up. And one day he was asked by one of the astronauts, he said, "Man, why are you here? Why are you doing this? This seems like such tough, menial work. You clean it up, the next day we make a mess. You clean it up again every day." And you know what his response was? His response was this: "I do this every day because I'm helping put a man on the moon." Now, think about that. A janitor saw his job in a role that was important, that somehow he enabled those above him, the scientists, the astronauts, all the different people that were involved in the rocket's design, building, everything else that took to get somebody launched into space. He saw his role as being vital for that. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know who that individual is. Never met him. But I can tell you this right now, his values, his personal values matched the organizational value. And when that happened, it was no longer about pushing a broom, slapping a mop, taking out the trash, dusting a table. It wasn't about cleaning up somebody's mess that they were too lazy to clean up for themselves. It was all about this higher purpose of I'm helping put somebody on the moon. So let's talk about that. How can I help you? How can Tier 1 Coaching help you put somebody on the moon? Give me a call. If you look below us there, you see on this webpage, there should be on this contact information. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your comments on this presentation and any other presentation we've done. I would love to hear some ideas of what you would love to see in these presentations, because we're here to try to make sure that the content we provide is, first of all, top class. Absolutely the best content you can find anywhere in the world. That's what we're here about. And also, I want to make sure that it is meeting a need that you have. So I'd love to hear from you in those things, those situations. I'd also love to hear your story. Tell me about what you do is helping put somebody on the moon, whatever the moon is for you. How does it help you be a better teacher, a better doctor, a better wife, a better husband? How does it help you be a better person, better friend? Those are the exciting things. Those are the things that if we keep those in the center of who we are and we allow everything else to work around that, that's when we feel successful. And at Tier 1 Coaching, if you remember nothing else from this presentation, we are here to make sure that you are enabled with whatever it is that you need to take that next step to continue to strive towards success. So, this is Roy Shenneman, Dr. Roy Shenneman from Tier 1 Coaching and Training. Thank you so much for your time and have a great rest of the weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.